All right, so hopefully the cicadas aren't too bad, but it's hot. It's summertime, so I'm trying to get this done in the morning here, and there's some background. So I picked me up a new pair of boots. I did a short a week or so ago, and I wanted to do a little more in-depth video. So I decided for a whole different side, and I really didn't like these boots, and I wasn't going to get them, but I'm actually glad I got them. So we'll get into that. So these are the Redwings. I think they're 4430s. Let's see if it says. I've done a video about these before. 4420s. So these are Redwing 4420s. They're the non-insulated ones. Steel toe, logger, and they're 9 inches. So I've had a bunch of pairs of these and they've been fine. But the last 2 years I've had some bad luck. So I did a video 2022, so about a little over 2 years ago, when I first got a new set of these boots. We were still in Hawaii. They worked great, but it was after we moved to Texas. It was, I think, January, so it was probably 8 months. The right one started tearing on the inside, just like this one is, where the liner is, and it tears, so then your foot gets caught, and it's like tore all the way down. So I took it back to Redwing, and they said, oh yeah, that's lifetime warranty. We'll switch it out. So they switched it out for these. So that was January 23. So it's been over a year, and this rip started maybe 6 months after I got those replaced. So I don't know if there's a switch in quality or what with these Redwings, but I did notice that it says they're made in Vietnam. Hopefully you can see that. I know it's upside down, but made in Vietnam. So at some point, Redwings switched manufacturing. So I don't know. So I've had some kind of issues with these, and I've always liked these, but this happened, and then I don't know, it's maybe a month ago. I've been kind of hobbling around a little bit, and the boss was like, you need to get some new boots. Go tonight and get some new boots. So I said, okay. So I called Redwing first to see if I could get these switched out. And I called a different store than I had bought these at, and I was talking to the person there, and they were like, no, they looked at my number and everything. I said, no, they've already been switched out once, so you can't switch them out again. And then they were like, well, what's wrong? And I said, well, it's the right one has got this huge tear in it. And they're like, well, yeah, that's a really, really common problem that happens. So we started getting with the local cobbler, and they charge you about $100, and they put a piece of leather in there. So I'm like, well, that keeps happening, so I'm not going to do that. So I decided not to. These were ripping, and I said, you know what? I don't want Redwings anymore. I'm going to find something else. And another thing, too, is, like, the heel's wearing kind of weird. Like, yeah, some of this might be from the way I walk and stuff, and I get that. But, like, see how the heel's wearing really weird? And it's got the heel, and it's just, like, my foot been hurting and all that. So I'm like, you know what? Let's try something different. So all the guys at work have these Thorogoods, and I wasn't the biggest fan of these crepe wedge soles because I had a pair of pull-on, like, Western style boots, and these soles just basically melted. So I really wasn't the biggest fan of these. I didn't really want to get these. So I was comparing these with, they were Georgia. And one of the things, I went to Boot Barn. I don't know if I said that, but I went to Boot Barn, and I was comparing these with the Georgia boots. And one thing I noticed is these Thorogoods, this sole, it seems like it's thicker, like, or it's denser, I guess I should say. It feels not as soft. So I'm like, well, maybe that's part of the problem. So these were $285, which were kind of expensive, but then these Redwings are like $290 something anyway. So these were actually $330. So I'm like, that is whatever. But the sole kind of got me a little scared. But the other guy at work, he's had his pair for over a year, and his soles look fine. I was kind of looking at him, and I'm like, well, maybe it's just the kind of sole that I was getting. So I figured I'd try these out, and I've had them over a week, maybe almost 2 weeks now. And these things are super comfortable. Like, they are a little bit uncomfortable right here, but that's just because they're new and they'll stretch. But, like, the squeezing right here is a little uncomfortable. But that's just because of the leather and they're new. But they were kind of, like, the break-in is actually really nice. Like, they already kind of feel broke in except for right here. So, like, you know how when you walk like this kind of thing? So that's already kind of broke in. And I do like that there's no heel. So there was another style that I was looking at that had the heel, but I decided for the wedge, and that's actually been really great. My feet don't really hurt anymore because it's kind of supported the whole way. So I want to test these out, see how these work. These are USA made, which kind of was another plus. And I used to not be the biggest fan of the mock toe, which is kind of what they call here, but I like it. I'm going to see how this wears and see how, they are steel toe, by the way, see how this goes and see how this wears and everything. And this, whatever scrape sole is kind of like light. You can see I had an oil leak the other day and it kind of got on my boots on that one too. So it kind of soaks in whatever this material is. But one of the main reasons that I picked these was because this is one piece of leather here on the back, and it's sewn here, and it's got an overlay, as where like these aren't like that. So I'm expecting this to not happen, as where these are also not lined, as where the Redwings are. So I think that is a super good plus. And there's this, I'll post the link to the video. It's Rose Anvil. They do like boots and stuff. So they cut a pair of these apart and they compared them to the Redwings like this. And these seem to be the best. So the guy, Essential Craftsman, he's always talked about boots like this. I'll link his video too. He's talked about the mock toe and stuff, and he's actually went to the Thorogoods. I know a lot of people like these Thorogoods. They are USA made, which kind of got me. They're available at Boot Barn. Cavender's has them. You can buy them online. I'll link these ones down below on Amazon. But I like that they were, like the tongue is leather, just one solid piece of leather. It doesn't have the lining like the Redwings. And then, like, and two, like, I know they're not lined and stuff, but I've never really noticed a problem with, like, being cold or anything in the feet. Even here in Texas, like, it gets cold for, like, a couple days a year, so it's not that big of a deal. But this is super comfortable back here. I don't know what you call this, around there. One thing that I don't know, I guess I just got to get used to, is they don't really stand up. So when you go to put your foot in it, this kind of flops over, as where the Redwings would stay up, so you could put your foot in it, and it didn't flop over. So that I got to get used to, and I want to test to see how these soles work. But as far as the first couple of weeks, I'm really, really happy. And then two, another reason I kind of picked these is I think that they could be resold. I don't know. Maybe they could be resold and it might be a little bit easier. But one thing I will say is these are kind of slippery. I know it says anti-slip, but if you get just in the right spot, these are kind of slippery. You will slide. Just a couple more things. So these were like I think they call this oil tan, where it's like a shinier color. And they also had the leather that was like more of like a dull leather, but it was more of a brown. So I thought these would be nicer. Another thing too is it's got the triple stitching. So hopefully that'll hold up. I want to really test these because I had a negative opinion about not Thorogoods, but just this style. So I'm going to try it and see what happens, and I'll do some updates on it. One thing that I don't know if it's just my boots or if it's Thorogoods, but these feel like they're a little like tight, the little hooks. Sometimes where I go to, it just misses the lace. So I don't know if that's just because these boots, I could bend that. That's not really that big of a deal. I want to see how this holds up from having to kneel down and stuff and get on the boots. And this one's already kind of starting to get a little scraped up. You can get that boot goo for these, but I wanted to try without it. So overall, I would recommend these. They are kind of expensive, but I figured I'm only getting about a year out of the Redwings, so if I only get about a year out of these, I don't really have anything to lose. But first impressions are really, really good, so I want to see how long these last and see what happens, and maybe I can get some resold if I need to. So hope you guys liked the video. Like, comment, subscribe, all the algorithm stuff. There's also a PayPal link if anybody would like to donate. That'd be much appreciated. We're almost to 5,000 subscribers, so I'm thinking about doing a 5,000 subscriber giveaway. So if anybody has any suggestions on what to do for a 5,000 subscriber giveaway, comment them down below. Thank you.